It's a mega merger. HDFC Life and Max Life will merge in a three-step scheme. First, the unlisted Max Life will merge into the listed Max Financial Services, and its shareholders will get 1 share of Max Financial for every 5 shares of Max Life. Thereafter, the life insurance business of the combined Max entity will be demerged and merged with HDFC Life. Max Financial shareholders will get 7 shares of the new HDFC Life for every 3 shares of Max Financial. As a result of the merger, the new HDFC Life, that's the merged entity, will be owned 42.5% by HDFC. Standard Life will own 24.1%. The promoters of the Max Group will own 6.5%, Mitsui Sumitomo Insurance will own 7.8%, and others will own 19.1%. In effect, Analjeet Singh and his family, that's the Max Promoter Group, retains 6.5% of the merged company. That's the new HDFC Life. Yet the shareholders of this new merged entity will pay Analjeet Singh an 850 crore rupee non-compete fee. Is this non-compete fee justified? And can somebody explain how that 850 crore rupee figure was arrived at? Well, I put all of these questions to the two companies, that is HDFC Life and Max Life, and they both preferred to remain silent, despite my repeated queries, that is. However, I'm hopeful that my two guests today on this very first show of The Fine Print will have some answers to my many questions. I'm joined today by corporate lawyer and the founder of Veritas Legal, Abhijit Joshi, and Anil Singhvi, the co-founder of governance advisory firm IIAS. Mr. Singhvi, Abhijit, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
I want to start by getting your views and quick views on the merger in itself. Though we are not discussing the commercials of the merger here today, we're only discussing the issue of the non-compete fee, but that would be difficult to explain if we didn't get your views on the merger. Mr. Singhvi.
I think the merger per se from business point of view is a good thing.
Okay.
I think because SDFC Life and Max put together will be a combined force to reckon with. They'll be ahead of the pack on this. So I think from all business point of view, merger is a position of strength for both set of shareholders, no doubt about it.
Mergers and demergers in same scheme are not unheard of. In fact, there
correct.
are many precedents to that. So therefore, it's a plain merger, and the jury is still out. And if it's not commercially sound, it won't get voted. If it's commercially sound, it will get voted.
Okay, now let's get to the matter at hand, which is the non-compete fee. I'm going to get Abhijit's view on this first. Not very uncommon, right, Abhijit?
Not uncommon, but there is always a tussle between the commercials and the regulators as to whether these are payments which deprive a certain section of shareholders of the same benefit that the promoter or certain set of shareholders get. So not uncommon, but it's an age-old debate in different form. I think it goes to the crux of the situation is the non-compete genuine and justifiable? And that's where I guess you stand or fall on the proposition. In other words, if the non-compete was not paid and the person concerned would compete, would it really affect? And therefore, paying them something, is it justified? And what is the justified payment? These are all subjective concepts. Whether it is used as a device or no will also be judged from case to case proposition. But yes, common and often common that these are questioned.
Per se, non-compete is not really a right thing from minority shareholders' point of view, and I want to take up where he left on that it's done in many cases, but yet it is seen from both from regulators' point of view and from minority shareholders' point of view, not the best of the things to be done. But today, when you talk about non-compete and goodwill, whatever name it is talked about, is basically for exiting shareholders. That if somebody is going out and that goodwill is left into the business, be it brand, be it a distribution, networking, all that, then you can perhaps find some solution and something on this, that I'm going to use all that goodwill, all that what he has built the business, and he's exiting out, I may pay a little more to him than other shareholders. But in case of a merger,
You mentioned the history of non-competes. The earlier takeover regulations were disputed at various fora, and it came to be understood or accepted that an up to 25% non-compete fee would be permitted. But if you look at the revised takeover code,
8.7 doesn't allow you.
it doesn't allow you a non-compete
That's
fee
what
at
I'm
all.
saying. The
Under the takeover. Now, the takeover code only applies to takeovers. It doesn't apply to schemes and mergers because those are exempt from the takeover code. But it says very clearly that if it was a takeover, then any non-compete fee being paid to any one shareholder
Sure.
or group of shareholders would have to be factored into the mandatory open offer price that would be paid to all other exiting shareholders.
Don't you think that this is also an acquisition in the garb of merger and acquisition? I mean, you may still have a situation that you came together on that. In fact, if you look at the shareholder resolution and the explanation statement sent by both, okay, it talks about SDFC Life being acquirer. In a merged situation, I don't think ever we heard or used the word acquirer. So you're merging, you're not acquiring other businesses. Here it is very clearly defined acquire. So
Just language. I'm going to redirect that
it is
question to the
always
lawyer.
in life there is nothing but
Language. I'm going to redirect that question to the lawyer. Abhijit,
I think the takeover code doesn't say you can't pay. It only says that it has to be included in your offer price.
which means all shareholders get the same exit
So
price.
therefore,
right?
the question in this present situation is that whether this non-compete in any way would have affected the swap ratio in a manner that shareholders of any of the companies would have got a better deal had this non-compete not been paid. Now, that's a question of valuation, that's the question.
But you've looked at the deal metrics.
If this was not there and the swap ratio would have been, let's say, a little better for certain shareholders, then it is for those shareholders to argue that this is actually prejudices them. Like a public shareholder would have argued in a takeover situation that because of this non-compete, I am deprived of a better price. And that's what SEBI has tried to plug.
Before we even get to that, I think the point that Mr. Singhvi raised is very valid, Avijit, and it ought to be answered in a merger scenario, which is that if that particular shareholder at the end of the merger is going to continue to have some skin in the game, which is in this case 6 to 7% of the merged entity, what is he being paid a non-compete fee for, or a goodwill fee? Interestingly, it's been called non-compete and goodwill, and I suspect that's because it has to do with the contract law. That's how people have preferred to use that, because contract law does not permit the prohibition of trade in any fashion. So I would like to get your thoughts on that, but that's ancillary. The fact is Analjit Singh and his promoter group will continue to hold 6 to 7% in the new HDFC Life, which is the merged entity, and yet he is being paid a non-compete fee. You're a shareholder and yet you're being paid not to compete with the company that you own up to 6-7% in.
So there are three questions, right? One is that if is the non-compete justified only when you are exiting, and if you are keeping a minuscule portion, does the non-compete not justified? That's first question. I would think not, because the question is that whether you are, so I don't know what was the shareholding of Analjit Singh in the previous company, if that was a large shareholding and is being diluted to 7%.
It is, of course, he was a
So
majority shareholder.
therefore there is an exit. The exit is not complete. But having said that, it has to be viewed from a different perspective. Whether Mr. Singh competing against this merged entity, would it be prejudicial to the interest of all the stakeholders at large?
But
Because
wouldn't it be prejudicial to him if he continues owning 7% in the merged entity?
that's a commercial question. He would have 100% of the other entity and 7% of this entity.
No, he didn't have 100% of that.
No, I'm saying if he has a new entity which competes against the merged entity.
But when you look at it, that is going to be the largest, as I said the opening remark on that, it will be the largest life insurance company.
In the private sector.
In private sector. And
Yes.
even SDFC, which was then the holding company of SDFC Life, is ceasing to be the holding company.
Yeah,
so
probably.
everyone is getting so diluted. So he's also getting diluted on that.
Yeah.
In that scheme of things, in a listed space, he'll be still 7% owner of the largest life insurance. How can he even think about competing with that kind of an entity which is there? And he's passing on, I mean, he's saying that he's passing on the Max. Like, is he the only owner of the Max, or all shareholders are owner of the Max as the...
Yes,
the
but
word
he
is
is, so
from
the explanation that his company officials, were trying to tell me on the phone about, and these were the points, and I'll reproduce them and you tell me if there is merit in them or not. They said, look, he's giving up what is a majority situation in Max Life and Max Financial Services to now become a minority or relatively insignificant player in the merged entity. He's giving up a whole series of rights because of that change in position, and therefore he needs to be compensated. He has also helped bring this merger together by convincing certain external parties to the merger, for instance Axis Bank, etc., to put this merger together. So therefore he's been instrumental in it, and they did not want to run into the situation where tomorrow, because he can effectively sell his 6 or 7% stake at any point in time, there's no lock-in, that he would sell that stake and then go on to set up his own insurance business. So that is their argument or their defense for why this non-compete fee is being paid.
No, this is a very different situation, Menika. Just apply your mind on that. That Max Life then getting merged with Max Financial Services, then you demerge the business, and then you remerge with HDFC Life, right? So shareholders of Max Financial Services are almost at the same league as Analjit Singh is, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So if he is the one guy who's going to get this 850 crores, why the other shareholders are not too
Because
good,
he
then-
was in majority position. This
No,
is
no,
their explanation.
his
He was a
shareholding-
majority
his-
shareholder there, and
his
he no
shareholding-
longer is one
yeah, his shareholding is only coming down. Then by that, in fact, SDFC also should get it. Oh, it was my subsidiary company. It's easiest to be my subsidiary company. So I was owning earlier 67% of SDFC Life. Now I'll own 43%. So from a majority 67%, I'm coming down to 43%. Then SDFC should also write a big fat check from SDFC Life saying that I have also diluted myself. How do you differentiate SDFC and Analjit Singh?
The
Tell me one thing.
two situations are different.
How
So
they're
HDFC will still be in a substantial shareholding
No,
position.
now what you're saying
Analjit
7 versus
Singh and the
43.
promoter group
What
will
I'm
not.
saying, what I'm saying is from controlling. Okay, and control is normally suppose it's defined. It's never defined.
But
in that way as
43 is
to
a
this.
big difference versus 7.
I agree with you, but then compensation for that may not be 850 crores. Maybe write a 300 crores check and say that SDFC also, because 67 has come down to 43, so I also should have 200 crores. Now flip it around other way around, where Abhijit touched upon a point that if you look at 850 crores, okay, for about what 81 million shares, right? It works out to about 100 rupees per share.
Yeah, there are many calculations going
The
on.
100, no, it's a very simple one.
Yeah.
That what the family owns is as per that is 100 rupee per share. And the second point which is said that suppose if this was the real 850 crore was put back into the kitty, right? How many more shares SDFC Life would have been issued is almost about 1.5 crore shares, which all ordinary shareholders also would have got had the 850 crore not been paid to Analjit Singh and put into the common kitty for benefit of all shareholders.
So I want to know how you would explain the fact that a merged entity and shareholders of the Max Group, which will become shareholders of the merged entity, will be paying their own promoter a non-compete fee or another co-shareholder a non-compete fee.
So I think first of all, I think you have to see non-competes are that if anybody did compete, who will it harm? It will harm the company in question who's running the business, because there is a competing business, and that competing business really cuts to the root of the business of the combined entity.
So you're saying HDFC
So
Life, the
that's-
merged entity, would
so-
be impacted if he were to go
So
off
that
the
is the
setup.
reason that the entity which is getting impacted, or they supposedly getting impacted, is probably paying this. That's one. But who it has to be paid to? It has to be paid to a person who is capable of causing that harm.
So that's the other question.
So therefore, the interesting part as I see is the non-compete is being paid to all the group companies. The group companies are individuals, or rather group consists of individuals where actually the real expertise to compete or not compete would lie. And then there are group companies, which some of them are holding companies, some of them seem to be not necessarily operating companies, some of them don't even have the word Max, and therefore it's interesting as to how this amount is spread across several entities who may or may not have by themselves an ability to compete.
But these are all promoter group companies. So,
So
basically
therefore
you're
they-
paying the promoter, whether you're paying him directly,
Exactly.
or you're paying
No.
some
But the
vehicle that he
concept of
uses.
non-compete is this, right? You pay somebody who has ability to compete.
No,
because
but the
that's-
terms of the non-compete, as is made
Yeah.
quite clear in the postal ballot, are that he cannot compete, whether he does it through the companies that are currently getting the payment or through any other companies for a period of 4 years.
So
in
then-
two
then one has to have
jurisdictions,
a-
he cannot compete in this business.
But then you have to have a rationale of payment of non-compete to all these other companies who are mere shareholders,
My
but may
question
or
is
may not
this.
have the ability to compete.
My question is this: what is the real threat of Analjit Singh setting up another competing life insurance business that would actually give HDFC Life sleepless nights?
Yeah.
I mean, firstly, it isn't like this is a 4-player market or 5-player market. This is a fairly crowded market.
Sure.
Even if you were to go ahead and see wisdom or economics in putting up another insurance business, is that something that's going to give the country's largest private sector life insurance business sleepless nights?
True. I don't agree on that at all. And when you look at, as he rightly pointed out, that there are individuals and there are companies, and the companies which do not even bear the name Max. So these are getting paid because they all have been clubbed as promoters.
Promoter
all
entities, yeah.
acquire on that. Like you have some Mrs. Pia Singh or Tara Singh or whatever. They can't set up a life insurance company. Give me a break. I mean, that's ruled out on that.
Yeah.
And secondly, as you rightly started on this, that 850 crore. Now, how did they come about this number of?
Yeah, so
850
but
crore?
before we even get to the amount, I just want to make sure that at this point in time, I'll just summarize your positions on this, the concept of a non-compete fee being paid at all, whether it's 1 rupee or 850 crore rupees
Sure.
to Analjit Singh in the manner that it's being paid by the merged entity. Are you in favor of it or against it?
I'm very clear about it. This is not a merger. This is an acquisition by HDFC Life of Max. And because it is an acquisition which has been camouflaged as a merger, Rule 8, Subclause 7 applies squarely.
Okay.
If I was a shareholder and if I was asked to vote, I would ask basically 3 questions. And depending upon the answers, I would say yay or nay. One is that tell me that the swap ratio is not affected by this payment. Because if this had gone into the kitty, would any number of shareholders or any part of shareholders would have got a better deal than what they've got.
Okay.
2, is it being paid to all entities who are by themselves capable of competing? Because
Okay.
if they are not, then by definition that should fall.
Sure.
Okay.
And the third part is a commercial part which you questioned, that what happens if Mr. Singh competes? How is it going to, is the impact going to be more than 850 crores? And what is the timing of that? Is it going to be now in the next 5 years, 10 years or after my lifetime?
Well, the non-compete fee exists for 4 years. That might be because of CCI
No, I
reasons,
understand.
because
Suppose-
the CCI standard is 4
suppose
years.
we
But even
didn't-
then, he can go out. 5th year, he can go and set up a...
That's not the point what I'm making. I'm saying you let's say you don't pay 850 crores.
Huh.
And the business of my company, whom I am a shareholder, gets impacted. When is it going to get impacted? Now, 10 years later? Because is it an immediate issue or is it a long-term issue or is it a strategic
It would
issue?
have to be 10 years later. It would take somebody to
I
build a
know.
business of
That's
some
a-
scale and size in this market to compete with HDFC Life, and for HDFC Life shareholders to think in regret and in hindsight that, oh dear, we should have paid him a non-compete fee.
Yeah, so
10 years, right?
that's
Their
a
problem
question.
10 years down the line.
That's a question I would ask. That you need to say that the money that I'm paying today.
So we'll answer all 3 questions. But we'll answer a 4th question also, because this is the other question I put to both HDFC Life and Max Life and I did not get a response. I said, how did you come upon the fee of 850 crores? You must have used some metric, some calculation, some decision on what should be a non-compete fee. Why is it only 850 crores? Why is it not 2000 crores, 1500 crores? Why not 50 crores? I didn't get an answer on this at all, and I'm hoping either one of you can answer this question. Have you been able to figure out on what basis they calculated this to be 850 crores?
Very simple, Menika. They robbed the minority shareholder by 100 rupees per share and gave it to Anandjit, and that's why it's 850 crore.
But how did they decide that they were going to, you use the word rob, I won't use the word rob, but how did you...
I am. I'm
Yeah,
championing
I know,
the cause of my-
how
cause
did
of
they
the
come
minority
upon
shareholders
the
on this.
decision that they were going to take 100 rupees away from the minority shareholder? Why not 50 rupees or 200 rupees?
No, but then you can say about 200 also
So
the same argument on
no,
that.
but it's
I'm
a
saying
question
that-
to be asked,
yeah, so
right,
this
sir?
has been,
Where is the explanation on how this 850
since company is
crore
not
rupees
giving an
is-
explanation, you
You're-
know from a media
you're-
person that if you vacate the place or if you don't have anything on that, then somebody will occupy that space. So I'm occupying that space, saying that it is 100 rupee per share what minority shareholders has been robbed off, and that's what has been given.
But
to-
there's no way to understand how they arrived at 100
because they are not giving answers. Both set of people are not giving answers. And according to me, the valuers who have done the valuation, okay, normally I have seen these valuation reports which are like completely, concocted, if I may use that word. And in this, 850 does not figure out on this. So what happened to the valuation then? If 850 crore was such a thing, then they should have also looked into it, as everything rightly said. That suppose if Analjit Singh is going to really compete, and what is going to be then the true valuation? Because that's what an important factor is. How can you have the valuers don't look into non-compete, and all of a sudden the company says, oh, I think 850
I don't know,
crore is
did
the
the
right place
valuers
in this.
look at non-compete? They must have looked at
But
non-compete.
then
How
they
do we
should-
know?
but
Do we
then-
know? Is
no,
there
no,
a way
but
to
then-
know?
No, valuation reports are available. They are public documents.
No, but in that, is there a non-compete?
No.
You're sure it's not in the valuation report?
The report which is produced for the public domain doesn't have it. If they have a second report which talks about it, we would like to have that.
Okay, I asked the company a very simple question. How did you arrive at 850 crores? Not just a company, I asked both companies this question. I have not got a response. I assume if it was in the valuation report, they would have copy pasted it and sent me a response. Can you explain to me how they arrived at 850
But
crores?
Menika, didn't
You're
you
the
ask this
expert
question?
lawyer, maybe you will know.
So, Menka, I think we are debating something which is a realm of subjectivity, and therefore you will never have a right answer, because there is no section, there is no case law which says this has to be the non-compete. If you see, in all fairness, to the deal. You take any deal. Why is a non-compete a particular number? It might be 5 crore rupees. Why is it 5 crores and not 10 crore? Now this question can arise in any case. 850 is a visible number and therefore it's a visible deal and therefore this question is visible. But you may not do a show at a 5 crore, but the concept and question is still the same.
Yeah, conceptually
Right?
it's still a question.
So it's in realm of subjectivity. What I think that you should get paid because of your ability to compete is a question that it's subjective to me and you. It's a question which is
Must
subjective
be
to
arrived
the
at on the basis of some math,
Yeah, of
some
course, of
calculation,
course, of
right?
course, they must
so
have.
Shouldn't these companies have to inform the
So
shareholders
therefore-
who are voting on this
They
how
will.
they arrived at 850 crores?
Let the shareholders ask, they will explain, that's one. Secondly, to assume that it's not, because it's not there in the valuation report, it's not factored in the numbers of the valuation. I don't even know who the valuers are, but I'm sure that all this has been taken care of in contemplating a valuation report. These are independent fair valuations. These valuations will be scrutinized in the court if questioned. And therefore, we have to presume that these are fair valuations.
And
There
I'm
should be
happy to
fair
give them the
valuations.
benefit of
That
the
one.
doubt. I just wish they had answered my question.
However, the second part that you also must realize that all valuations per se are subjective.
Of course they
so
are.
if you see,
Beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. Right?
no, it's not that much. It's not. It's more than that, because if you see judgments on the subject, even the courts have said that they are not equipped to tell why
Yes.
value X
Yeah.
and value
Yes.
Y.
What blocks them or stops them from sharing this information?
They will answer in a forum where they are supposed to answer.
So if you've not put it in the postal ballot,
Yeah.
you've not put it in the valuation report, Mr. Singhvi says he's perused that, you've definitely not put it in the press release. I've asked a specific question as a member of the media, you've not answered my question. What is this other exclusive forum that they're going to inform shareholders in?
Is a forum where a shareholder has a right to ask, creditors have a right to ask, courts have a right to ask, regional director and official liquidator have a right to ask. You and me don't have a right to ask.
Okay.
When you put a resolution to vote, okay, is it not incumbent on you to give all necessary inputs to a person who is going to take a decision, right? When you say share
I
swap
agree.
ratio, no, one sec. Let me allow me to speak for a minute on this issue.
No, please do.
The point is that when you're asked, there are two resolutions, right? One is asking for a merger under 391, 394, where there is a valuation report which talks about a certain swap ratio, on the basis of which, where you've given that these are my independent valuers who are given this valuation, and basis that valuation, this is the swap ratio, and you please vote for or against it. Second resolution talks about 850 crore. Vote for or against it. There is no input. There is no input. On you're telling me on swap ratio, I have the best of the. I have very high regard for them, but the best of the valuers who are giving you this, and there are two independent valuers who are giving this. But on 850 crore, you don't have anything. It's basically a private deal between SDFC Life and Analjit Singh. According to me, I would like to know what did Mr. Analjit Singh ask for? Did he ask for 1500?
he didn't ask for it.
Oh, this
Did you
SDFC
not
was-
read the postal
no,
ballot?
No, that's why I want to know.
Did you not read
No,
the
that's why I want to know.
postal ballot?
He did not
Suggests
asking for it.
that he didn't ask for it.
He didn't ask for
Well,
it,
the
but
postal
SDFC
ballot doesn't say that. I don't want to put words in the mouth of the postal ballot. The postal ballot suggests that HDFC Life has offered to pay this non-compete.
Yeah, that's true.
All I'm saying is not capable of being described as to why it's 850 and not 650, because this question can equally arise for 650 or 6 crores also. So therefore, it's a question that is to be decided by the parties and the impact they feel that it's going to have on the transaction. The point that is being discussed here is different, which is that should you not have had more explanations in relation to
And more disclosures, yeah.
more disclosures, and that's what I told you, that if I was to vote, I would ask for these 3 questions.
Yeah.
But these questions are not answered, then how will you vote?
So 1 second. We are clear that on 850 crores, there is no explanation forthcoming. Maybe there cannot be one, but there is no explanation.
cannot be one?
I'm not arguing. I'm just saying there is none. So that's one question that has no answer. The second question he asked was, will the swap ratio be affected by the payment of this non-compete fee?
Of course.
My
Of
job to
course,
ask.
it's so obvious.
It will be affected somewhere, because what happens is if the company in question, whom I am becoming the shareholder,
Correct.
has a payout of 850 crores, which otherwise it would not have had. It would be sitting in the accounts and the books, and that
Correct,
would
absolutely.
change the value in some extent. I don't know to what extent.
So it is being affected. So yes, the answer to that question is yes. The answer to the previous question is don't know, which is we don't know how the 850 crore rupee amount was arrived at. Your next question was, is the non-compete fee being paid to entities that are capable of competing? And I want you to answer that own question yourself, because you're the one who raised the names of the entities and the types of the
it's all there in the explanatory
Yeah,
statement.
so do you think that the non-compete fee is being
So
paid to
I-
entities capable of
How
competing?
how do I know whether they are capable or not? All I can tell you is that this looks like these are all shareholders, they are promoters.
They're all members of Aniljeet Singh's family, I would imagine, and therefore they make
No,
part of the
therefore
promoter group.
take example of Boom Investments Private Limited.
Must be a holding company
Yeah.
of
So,
promoter holding company of
On the face of it, you find it difficult that is a holding company or an investment company would be capable of competing by itself
But it's
without
maybe
the
just the company that's getting the payment, right? Maybe it's not the
So
company.
that's the question.
Yeah, so it's just a payment thing.
So non-compete should be paid to the person who is capable of
Capable of
competing.
So your answer to this question is what? The question is this. I'm raising exactly the same question as you. Is
No,
the
I'm raising the
non-compete fee-
question. I'm not
I want
answering
an
my
answer.
question.
You have to answer the question.
No, I don't have to answer the
But
question.
I think he has answered
People
the
with
question
people
by
with
he
facts
I'm not
are-
answering the
No,
question.
no, by saying that the one who's capable of competing with you.
So you have to
I'm
establish.
saying, don't
I'm not.
believe
Yeah.
I'm
that
not the.
entities being paid a non-compete.
How do I
fee
answer
listed
that
in the
question?
postal
Only
ballot.
people who know facts can demonstrate whether it is or it is not. So if
Okay,
let me
it appears that they cannot.
rephrase what I said.
Okay.
If I was a shareholder, I would ask this question to people who can answer this question, not in a debate, but factually.
And who are the people who can answer this question?
The
company.
the
And
company,
where is
the company,
supposed
or
to
the parties
explain all of
involved,
this?
or the
Where is
parties
the company supposed to explain all of this if not in the postal ballot?
in the meeting, in
But
the
there's no
court.
meeting.
But there's no meeting
There's no
because it's a
meeting.
postal ballot.
Yeah, postal
So
ballot.
how-
They should have,
they
they
gonna-
should have explained in postal ballot.
Yeah, but then
But
there is
it's not done.
the matter is also
So
before courts,
can I use
right?
legal language because you cannot answer your own question? The question has become infractious.
No, not really.
No, but that's how it
Not
is,
really,
right?
not really. This question can be posed before a court. This question can be
Okay,
posed
fine.
as an objection
Okay.
before
Okay.
regional
But then
director,
you said
objection
that,
liquidator.
you said that many
Okay.
judges expressed that they are not competent even to give an opinion on that. So court may not be there in the right forum.
Okay, fine. The last question you asked was what happened or what would happen if Aniljeet Singh were to compete with this business? Do you think it would be of material damage? to
I'm
HDFC?
certainly can't because I'm not at all equipped. But I would only have a benchmark out here that somebody would need to demonstrate to me to say that this 850 crores is far cheaper than the impact it would have had if he competed.
Who is that somebody that needs to demonstrate?
Either the company itself,
Where
who's
would it
paying.
demonstrate all of this? Where is that
To
explanation
any
need to
of
come
the,
through?
so it's not come here. So either that's what I'm saying. There are three, four forums available. This matter is not over.
Yeah,
It's
fair
really-
enough. Okay.
I have
It is
one-
over though if the shareholders vote in favor of this in the postal
it's
ballot
not
because
shared.
then it is
Yeah,
then it
but-
has gone through without the discussion that is required.
Yeah,
on
but
it.
this people can still come and raise these questions.
Yeah, but
before
court
the
normally
court.
don't entertain once it is already approved by the
Yeah,
shareholder.
once the
Usually-
shareholders have approved it, where is one lone ranger will stand
But
up in court and go
Menka, may I-
Sir, please answer this question before
No,
before you
I
get
won't
into
agree
that.
with you
I want to
right
know
now.
what happens. Would there be material impact on HDFC Life if Aniljeet Singh were not tied down for 4 years by a non-compete fee and was allowed to freely compete with HDFC Life in the next 4 years as soon as the merger is over? Would it be a
Well,
material
Menika,
impact?
let me wear my business hat and answer this question.
Yes, please do.
The very simple is that once you have sold your very large insurance business in this case to the largest insurance company on that, and that in fact it becomes the real dominating force on that. For you to compete in a life insurance business which makes impact only in 8-10 years time, even if you are very big, right, in this case. So I don't think next 5 years, whatever the period which is now
4
given
years.
here, 4-year period which is given here, would not have made any difference. Even if Aniljeet wants today also. Okay, if he said 850 crore not paid, Aniljeet is free to compete, okay? I don't think it's going to make any impact, and this is my business sense. But my point is much larger than this, okay? Today when you are defining Aniljeet Singh as you rightly said, or perhaps you said that founder of Max Life.
Yes, he has. He's
Now
built
what-
a good business.
What happens to Mitsui Sumitomo?
No,
Who?
no.
No, one sec. No, you can't be dismissive like this.
No,
And
I'm
you-
not dismissive. I don't have answers.
You don't
I don't have
Don't
answers.
sure. Okay,
No, I don't have an
now
answer.
my question is very pertinent. Mr. Aniljeet Singh never knew anything about life insurance. He was not a person who was really, from understanding point of view, that he was the person who really had knowledge or deep knowledge of insurance business at all. It was actually a Mitsui Sumitomo insurance company. He partnered with them. He had no knowledge of insurance on that, and set up an insurance company. Today we are not paying any money to Mitsui Sumitomo because they are the people. Suppose tomorrow they compete, then what happens? If any non-compete is to be paid in this case, is only to Mitsui Sumitomo, not to anyone else.
Mr. Singhvi, we started by posing the question, what should Max's shareholders do? If you were, hypothetically speaking, a shareholder who had to vote in this postal ballot, okay, which way would you vote?
Yeah, so as I said, I would ask those questions.
But
I
we
need those
just
answers.
asked those four questions.
So
and you know what the answers to
No,
those
I don't
are.
know what the answers are because you have answered that question. I need somebody who knows the matter to answer that question. That's one.
But those
Two,
answers are not available in the
Yeah,
postal
so
ballot,
who
and
will
you have
ask?
to
There
vote
are-
on the basis of the postal
There
ballot.
are forums to ask those questions.
I'm saying, how will you vote on the postal ballot?
On 24th September, you don't have time now to go to court and say
I'm
that.
not saying go to court and all of that.
Yeah.
If you had to vote in this
Vote on
postal
24th
ballot,
September, how would you
how
vote?
would you vote? I'm trying to make 2 points here, Abhijit.
I
One
would-
is we are asking.
I would vote in favor because I would not see non-compete as the only issue.
Fair enough.
Right? This is a great topic for this discussion. But there is a larger aspect to the business, which is that if this whole merger didn't make sense for HDFC or for the combined entity in general over the number of years, then this merger would not have taken place.
Fair enough.
There are fair amount of prudent players, stakeholders in this, and if all of them had come together to say that this in the long run or in the medium term or in the short term is going to really be really great business sense, then merely because there is a component which I may or may not view to be fair, I am not going to be blinded towards the macro picture of the proposition.
Fair enough.
So my answer is going to be, if I am if you put a gun on my shoulder, vote or no.
Hypothetical gun, just so that
So
they
I
share
suppose
what-
there was a hypothetical or a real gun on my head. I would say yes, because I would presume that wiser counsel has gone in the larger context of things,
Fair
and life is not about siloed proposition of fairness or unfairness.
So now let me come to you as the final question, and that is this, exactly the one I posed at the beginning. Based on the information you have, do you think this non-compete is genuine and justifiable, as Abhijit put it? Do you lack information, or do you think you have enough information to make that decision? And if you think you have enough information to make that decision, what would your decision be?
You have asked me, I think, 4 questions, and let me answer one by one.
Do you have enough information?
Do I have enough information? Answer is no.
Okay.
Whether Aniljeet Singh himself is capable of competing with the merged entity, because the merger is one aspect. As I explained to you, there are
Yes.
2 different aspects. One is merger, one is 850 crore. Whether he is capable and competent of giving that kind of a threat to the merged entity, answer is no. And if at all there is non-compete to be paid, according to me, should have been paid to Mitsui Sumitomo Incorporation, Japan.
Well, okay, it's interesting. So we have 2 differing points of view here, and gentlemen, you have not made the job of shareholders any easier. Thank you, Abhijit. Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Singhvi,
you.
for joining us, and thank you very much for tuning in to The Fine Print on Bloomberg Quint.